Alright, hello everyone, welcome back. This is another BlueEyedPanda Let's Play video. Today I'm going to be welcoming you back to my civilization map, pretty much. As you can see that I've gained a lot of cities since the last videos. I actually didn't plan to have this many cities, but I kept finding settlers all over the place. Just give you a quick recap of everything that's happened. Basically, I have helped progress my cities in various ways. As you can see, I've got plantations now, so I can get these luxury resources. You can also see that I've just now researched the wheel, so that's a good thing. I'll show you what the wheel does. Maybe later on in this video, I hope. I did get a great person born. It was a great scientist, so I was able to, hold on, excuse me. I was able to use him to boost my science for a little bit, for one of my technologies that I was learning. And I learned what did I learn? Iron working, I believe. I learned something, let's just put it at that. But basically, I ended up making a technology that would cost 14 turns to learn. Actually cost 6 or 7, something like that. And as you can see, this screen up here just popped up. Basically, he is offering me to accept his embassy as long as I offer him to accept mine or something. It may be vice versa. I am accepting his embassy, he's accepting mine. And basically what that does is it shows you where their capital is on the map. So here's his capital. And it basically does whatever an embassy is expected to do. See here, I'm gonna go ahead and adopt tradition, so maybe I'll be able to progress my cities a bit more. They're a bit too spread out for me. Here's another one you can see, luxury resources, trading them. I have quite a bit of dyes, truffles. It's basically to improve happiness, so I'll go ahead and I'll do that. You can see right here someone has
3 things you can upgrade obsolete units, turning them into more powerful units by spending
the
gold.
Classical era. I've actually already done that. It basically says, look at me, I'm smart, kind of like that. Let's see. These are wonders that I'm looking at. I still don't have very much faith. I think you need 100 in order to find a religion. All I've actually managed to do so far is find a pantheon, and the pantheon that I decided that I would learn is Messenger of the Gods, which basically means any city that has a trade route will be able to earn +2 science. It's gonna be beneficial to me since I have many cities in my area that I can put trade routes to. These 3 right here, I'm going to assess that these are actually going to be the fastest growing, besides St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg's a little slow. This one's actually growing pretty quickly. I still don't have any workers there. I'll probably end up just purchasing one with gold. You can see here that I actually have a wheat farm. Wheat is this right here, where my cursor is. This wheat basically provides more of a food yield. The technologies that I've been learning have pretty much made it possible for me to make better land improvements as well as technology improvements. A lot of my cities have a library built in them, so I'll be able to produce. I was supposed to buy a worker this turn. That's alright. As you can see, cities have been growing. You'll see this is a creep post. If you're using another nation, it'll probably be a barracks. basically does the same thing with a different name. That's it. And you can see that I found quite a bit of people. You can see this one's actually rather close to me. We may actually have more conflicts than the group that I met earlier. I can't remember who they are. But that's because he actually told me that he didn't want me to settle cities near him. I didn't know that this was near him at the time, so can't really blame me for it. It may create tensions later on, but ultimately that will be alright. You can see that I'm still improving on my technology. I believe that I have the most advanced technology as of yet. I've only seen one other person enter whatever era I am in at the moment. I don't remember which era I am in, but I've only seen one other civilization in this era. What I'm doing now is I'm building a Route 2 mode. Basically, it builds a road from one city to another, and that's going to help me with my Messenger of the Gods pathogen, I believe it's called, whatever. Basically, that's going to help me improve my science, so I'll be able to learn more. Alright, so I finally have a worker here, so he'll be able to start improving these lands as well. Also, you can see St. Petersburg has a lot of luxury resources around it. A lot. And I'm basically going to be trying to connect some of my cities, because I actually have quite a bit of workers now. So I should be able to expand some cities, because as you can see, Moscow here has a lot of hexes that are improved. So I should be able to build a city, improve some land here with 2 workers, send them back, and improve whichever new territories that I have came across in Moscow. Also, I plan on this city right here, Almighty. It's a city-state. I do plan on eventually,
thanks to your research, all of your future military units will possess the embark promotion
and as you can see that I have done quite a bit of technology increase. I've learned a lot more. I've met a lot of people that will likely be beneficial to me later on in the game when diplomacy plays a factor. So I'll be able to have more of my elections, I guess you would call them, in order to make my civilization more prosperous. But I'm also gonna have to get the aid from city-states as well. I'll be able to go more in depth in that later on so you can see it. I still don't have a city near a coast, so my navy is going to take some damage in the beginning of my conflict era, which is basically when I
those things.
Hold on, I'm gonna let him
grows
speak.
old and is forgotten under the power of time.
But I don't even remember what I'm saying. So, oh yes, my domination era, or whatever I called it. Basically, it's when I decide that I'm going to go to war with all these different civilizations. And this screen that popped up here, I didn't close it for a reason. It's basically so you can see what happens when you actually build a wonder, and it'll actually show you what it helps benefit. As you can see, this one has faith. I normally don't build things that have faith in them because I could care less about what religion my country is. So I did decide to build this one mainly so I can select whichever religion that I choose in order to help progress my nation. And as you can see that I've actually had quite a bit of normal buildings be built here, and I can actually start looking into building some of these wonders while I have the spare time. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to find whichever one I think is beneficial to me, like this one here, Hanging Gardens, which gives me +1 culture and +6 food. So I'm going to go ahead and try to build this one. Hopefully no one builds it before me, because if somebody builds a wonder before you, then they get that wonder and you can't build it. So it's beneficial to have wonders. There's some really good ones like the Great Lighthouse, I believe is what it's called. It's going to give naval troops plus 15 experience. This screen that popped up here, occasionally you'll get these screens that pop up and they have a little title above them. This one says the people who like shiny things the most. Basically, this is referring to gold. You can see where everyone's ranked. As you can see, I have a lot of unmet players, but ultimately that'll be alright, because I plan on having tons of gold near the middle era of my civilization. I plan on building that up extremely quickly, and as you can see, a lot of people are starting to enter the classical era. So that means that I'm going to start stepping up my game on technology. And this city right here is actually producing buildings very quickly. I'm actually going to build pyramids out here. Wonders in each one of your cities is pretty good. I do believe that there is a religious faction or something that gives you a bonus to each wonder that you have, and it also gives it to that city. Also, I typically enjoy building libraries and banks and markets and things like that, mainly because that's going to help boost my technology and currency later on. What's that going to do for my civilization is pretty easy. It's going to help me produce a more intelligent and more wealthy civilization, and that's something that we want. And I'm going to build guilds for my next technology. Well, you can't actually build the technology, you learn it. And both of these cities are actually militaristic, so you may get
Die Erzherzogin.
goodbye. You may get quests from them to bully one another, so they can try to say who is the more powerful. And you can actually see that I actually yes. Yes. Basically what he just asked is, hey, should we be friends? And I was like, yes, we should be friends. Because I believe that diplomacy is a great thing to have, but you do need to be aware of who you have diplomacy with and who has diplomacy with each other. I believe you can see everything up here. Demographics, no. Diplomacy. You just click this little thing and it'll show how each one feels towards you. You can't actually, I don't know if you can see who feels what towards them, but just pay attention. If you see a bunch of people are getting mad at one particular civilization, it may be best to avoid that civilization, or maybe even go to war with that civilization if it calls for it. As you can see, I still don't have a strong military, and that's for a reason. I do not like spending my production on building military forces. I try to stay away from large countries like Indonesia. I'll go ahead and build near city-states. They typically do not attack you as much unless they're allies with a civilization that will attack you. So do be cautious of the civilizations that are near you. If a civilization does declare war on you, and they have a city-state that they are allied with, and that city-state will declare war on you as well. Right now I'm planning on easy difficulty, so they're not going to declare war on me too much unless I start war with them or I make them mad. I do know that one time I was not paying attention to diplomacy, and I took back a capital that was taken from another civilization, and I decided instead of taking that city that I would liberate it for an enemy. And what happened is everyone ended up hating me for that, and I had to go to war with almost everyone at the same time, and it was awful. And as you can see on my last one, I was granted a unit. This unit right here, I was granted it from Almighty, or Almighty, something along the lines of that. So military city-states can be beneficial to you. And this city right here is actually growing pretty quickly. I really enjoyed this city over here. It's not where they told me to build a city. I just decided that I was going to build it there, and it ended up working out great for me. This one I built down here after it said it would be a good city to build it in. It's growing moderately fast. St. Petersburg, I just built wherever, and right now it is stinking. It is doing awful. And as you can see, Rostov, which is actually when I took my settlers all the way across the map to move over here, it's moving somewhat fast, rather
Ich
poor
sehe, ihr
to be
bewundert meine
completely
neuen...
honest, but I might as well try to stay positive. And I didn't even know that I had a quest open for them. Oh dear. Try not to do that because I just wasted my moves for them. But what I'm going to do with these troops is I'm going to fortify them inside my city. I'm not going to have to worry about those troops for a while. And I'm really just going to leave them there. And I have new trade routes open, and they can move much faster on these roads. As you can tell, I do believe that I'm going to have to upgrade some of these construction areas that I have already constructed, i.e. up here, these mines are.
I think that
I don't know if that will be the best location to have mines there when I should have built something else. Alright, something that I tend to not pay attention to is this right here. It's basically your trade routes, and it can be very beneficial to you. And ooh, I kept my promise that I wouldn't build cities near them, so we're going to be on better terms with them, and that's a good thing. But what was I speaking about? I don't remember what I was speaking about. That's not good. But as you can see, my cities are expanding. I am looking upwards. Something I forgot to do before this video is check the time. And I don't know when I'm supposed to end this video, so it's not too drastically long, but I may end it pretty soon. This is a great deal for me. They want ivory for 30 turns for this much gold. I will definitely accept that. 30 turns, I'm gonna get my ivory back. It's a luxury resource, and I'm even getting more ivory. So that's a great thing to me. I do need to pick up the pay. Oh yes, I was discussing about trade routes. I do a poor job at establishing trade routes, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to try to do that now. See if I can purchase. Yes, I just purchased a caravan, and they'll be able to lead me further in depthly about my trade routes. And as you can see, there's actually a caravan right there. It's trading with the city, and maybe trading with one of mine. I'm not exactly sure. Here we go. To establish a trade route, you just have to click this. You can change its home city. Say you built it in Moscow and you want it in St. Petersburg, you can do that. But I'm just going to establish a trade route real fast. And basically it shows what it does each turn. Go in there, see Moscow, it'll just show you when you put it on here. It'll show you Moscow gold per turn 0.25 and Kabul is 0.3. And then it'll have those different resources as well. And I'll probably trade it with St. Petersburg. Hopefully it'll help me grow in this area. And as you can see that I'm still learning technologies. Rationalism, you can see that I have new ones. Rationalism right here is probably my favorite because it helps build towards great scientists, as you can see down there. You can purchase them with faith. It also helps build towards your science. Commerce is pretty productive as well if you're in the need of gold. And St. Petersburg is just doing horrible. And you can see these players are still entering the classical era, even though I am in the medieval era now. And I do need to pick it up. I like to be... I'm just gonna have this guy go to sleep. When you put someone to sleep, it basically means they don't do anything until you wake them up. But, well, I need to, oh yes, up here you can see what year it's in. 1600 is when I like to hit the modern era. It's way before its time, I know. It's weird having tanks in 1600s, it's weird to think about it. But it is a very comfortable period of time that I like to be in that era, because it really proves how dominant my nation can be. And as you can see, I'm still moving slowly but surely. A lot of the times I'll end up selecting the technologies that take more turns to do if I believe that they're more beneficial to me, like education. If it takes a long time but it's up there, then I will probably still go ahead and select education, because it helps build towards my technology, and that's how I separate myself from other civilizations, is by being technologically advanced. Now, when you get to a certain era, you'll be able to get what's known as spies, and the more technology that you have, the more targeted you will be for those spies. So do be aware of that. If you tell someone to stop spying on you, and they keep spying on you, and they keep spying on you, then it's probably time to teach them a lesson.
I have some information that may be of use.
I just got an update showing that I got a great prophet. I'll actually show you what you can do with it. Since this is my great prophet, I'm going to found a religion. And we'll be able to go into that, and I'll be able to show you when, not when, but what things you can select. And here my technology, like I was speaking about earlier, if it costs more turns, but I think it's going to be more beneficial than I selected. And here's a great example. Right here at civil service, I can have open border treaties. That's not the one I really care about. It's the one that's left of it. And it's food from your farm increases by 1 on tiles with access to fresh water. Now, fresh water can be like a river, a lake. I'd say this is more like a lake. This is more like a big pond to me. But it's going to help increase that. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one. Now I can find a religion. And my religion is Judaism, because I'm actually Jewish, so I typically pick Judaism. Now you get to select from all these things that you want, and I'm going to read through these and determine which one I want. I am actually going to pick this one. Gain science when missionary prophet spreads this religion. And I'm also going to pick this one, and I'm going to find my religion. So basically now my capital city will have this religion, and you can go here and you can purchase things with faith, and one of the things you can purchase is a missionary, and you use that missionary to pretty much spread your religion, and it's going to give you those bonuses. Depending on what bonus you picked, it will give you those bonuses when a city has followers in it or are following the religion. You'll get bonuses from that if you select it. Now, one of the things that I selected was that I could spread science with my religion as well. So using those missionaries will be very beneficial to me, because not only am I spreading my religion, I am also spreading science, which is going to help me in the long run. And as you can see, it says I'm losing grasp with Almaty. I don't know how to pronounce it. If you're from Almaty and I pronounce it wrong, I do apologize. I doubt anyone here is from Almaty, but if you are, I do apologize. And I will butcher tons of these names. And as you can see, since I have a lot of silk, I may be dominating the silk trade at the moment.
Ihr bewundert meinen neuen Damas.
And she's gonna
Soll
offer me pretty
keiner
much
sagen,
30 gold
ich sei eine
to accept
ungerechte
this
Frau.
embassy. And I'm definitely going to do that. And as you can tell that I'm working a lot with my workers, improving my tiles, as well as cities, developing greater prosperity and way of life. So that's going to help me in the long run that most of these cities are doing well, with the exclusion of St. Petersburg, which I think is doing garbage. This one, Yaroslavl, I'm just going to call it Yarrow. Yarrow is doing pretty good. It's relatively small, but that's because I don't have very many farms around here. The reason why I think that this will result in a good location is because you'll see this desert out here. Typically you'll find oil in desert, and my guess is it's actually going to be back in this area, but that's going to be alright because I'm going to be able to build a city back in this area. And as you can see, you have these passes in between these mountains, so it may provide me a great launching point for military actions against cities like Rome later on, and cities to the south that I haven't actually discovered yet. So do keep in mind that not only should your cities be beneficial to your production, but as well as military, so you can determine strategic locations in order to attack the enemy from. Now, a good trick that I will tell you about is this one right here. I'll go back into tactics after this. This one right here, people with the pointiest sticks. 127 and I'm in second place. I'm actually typically right here where it says 44. That's typically what I rest at. So that's new to me. But I will give you a little trick that I learned. Say Kabul. No, I'm not going to use Kabul. Say there is a city between Damascus and Mecca. And
The only thing.
And I want to take a city from the Arabians, I think that's what it is, where Damascus and Mecca is. If there's a city in the middle, 9 times out of 10, I will attack that city in the middle first. Two things are going to happen when I attack that city. I am going to cut off supplies to Damascus, and I'm also going to disrupt their forces from moving into Damascus. Now, when that happens, I will be able to take Damascus a lot easier. If I cannot hold the city that lies in between them, that'll be alright, because I should be able to take Damascus fairly easy with their supplies cut off. And by supplies, I mean workers that will be coming through, because you can pillage lands, you can make these farms turn into rubble, and they'll have to repair them. You can destroy that and destroy the livelihood of this city. And then you can also destroy reinforcements that are coming through. But say if instead of there being a city between Damascus and Mecca, there's a city north of it. A lot of the time I will attack the city farthest away from their capital. Typically your capital is what builds the quickest, but not always. So I'm going to attack the city farthest away from it, just in case. But I'm going to use a smaller force in order to attack the northern city, so I can use my larger force to attack this southern city. The reason why I do that is because if I lose the northern force, then that will be alright, because I'll have a new launching pad in the southern force, and that will provide me a way to use military troops to attack both the northern and their capital city. So do keep in mind that where you attack is very important, because it determines the enemy's reaction. Also, another game that I plan on doing a Let's Play video on is Rise of Nation. It's one of my favorite RTS games of all time, and you can actually see that strategy work even more. A typical time I use it is when I attack the Lakota capital in the Great Plains. The reason why it works so well is because you can't really see the borders. And what I'll do is I'll attack the closest city to me with a smaller force. However, I will use a general and a lot of artillery in order to take that city easier, because a general will be able to make what's known as duplicates of the troops, so it looks like I have twice as many forces as I really do, and they'll be able to defend my artillery as it bombards a city. Now, while they move their forces to the northernmost city, closest to my territory, then I will be able to use another army, which will actually be my larger army, to attack the central cities. And basically what that is doing is it's going to limit the ratio in which my units are killed. So I'll be able to kill twice as many troops as there are. As a matter of fact, I did one attack like that in the same area, and I didn't lose a single troop. I was able to kill them all without losing a single troop. Granted, a lot of my troops were wounded and had to be healed by supply units and things like that, but I didn't lose any troops. And as you can see here, I built one of my favorite wonders, which is the National College. It takes a while to build a lot of the times, but excuse me, in the end it's extremely worth it, because it's going to provide me a lot of excuse me, I have the hiccups now. It's going to provide me a lot of technology advancements, and that's going to separate me and the other nations. Keep that in mind. Your technology, your gold, and your citizens' happiness will always prosper over your military force. Granted that your military force is not over exuberant. Being said, if your military force is 3 times as strong as the enemy, you can probably put your research and your happiness on the back burner while you use your military force to overthrow an enemy. It all depends on the tactics that you're using. If you enjoy having large militaries, I don't recommend you using my tactic, because my tactic is very slow and it's very vulnerable at times. Because if a large force were to come in here, they would be able to do some damage. Granted, I do have a stockpile of gold that I do try to keep, and that's in order for me to purchase units quickly. So if someone tries to do a blitzkrieg-like tactic on me, then I will be able to do a quick reaction force, or QRF, on them and take out the enemy forces. Granted that their military is not too strong. Now, I do have multiple cities, so as long as they do not attack Novgorod, then my civilization will prosper through the battle, because I will have enough troops. Granted that I also have these roads that's going to make my units move faster through my cities, so I will most likely prosper through a large military attack. Granted, I will lose a lot of forces and I may have a lot of land pillage. I do believe that I will be able to prosper after a large military attack. And as you can see, I just got a rider that was born. I'll show you what the rider can do after I am able to find out where I want to build all my stuff. Your rider can do a great work of art. That's what I typically do. Or they can do a
Oedipus
big
knew the
boost of
famous
culture.
riddles. He was a
I typically don't read the writing because I really do not care, but it's going to give me a bonus of tourism. Basically what that tourism does, like I said in previous videos, it shows how much people enjoy coming to your country. The higher your tourism, most likely the greater your country is and the more prosperous it will be in a long, what am I trying to say here? I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. Hopefully this is built before my construction workers building my road get here. But the more tourism you have, basically it's beneficial to your nation. Just remember that. Also, do keep in mind that while building a road that goes outside of your territory, forces can use them, both friendly, ally, and neutral. I know I said both, but all of them can use it. They can use this road, and it can be detrimental towards you. So do keep that in mind. Now, as you can see, I had my Great Wall built. If you don't know what the Great Wall is, I'll give you a quick back brief on it. It is basically going to slow enemy forces down so they take an extra turn in order to move. That's basically here to protect me if a nation decides to attack. And you can also see that I'm building the Oracle, which is going to help me get social policies so I can expand my nation even quicker. Now, I know I've discussed a lot. I don't know how long this video is. I hope it's not too long, but I do want to thank you for watching. This is BlueEyedPanda from Civilization 5, and goodbye.